We software engineers, especially working on service-based projects and the like, we often use the term technical debt to describe inefficiencies in the code base, poor software quality foundation, and other things actually preventing us from building on top of an existing code base. This is a pretty fine balance between being able to provide a usable piece of software quickly for the rest of the public and actually building something that scales over time. Now, there are different ways to get this problem solved one way or another. Some do incur building a very cheap, poorly built, minimum viable product simply in order to launch something for the market and then paying for a very expensive migration to something that's properly built. Some do include paying, again, a very tiny sum of money for an initial build and then incrementally increasing maintenance and support costs over time simply because the initial code quality is extremely mediocre. So you're basically kind of paying that with a very high interest rate over time. And of course, some do invest a lot more in the initial build only to be able to provide something that is easily scalable and kind of grows over time. I spent the last month and a half with dozens of sales negotiations and different types of partnership meetings, plant meetings, growth meetings, estimates, and different types of pricing discussions because pricing, of course, matters. Some of the sales leaders I've been following over the years, they do often kind of transition this conversation between the cost and the price of a specific product, being that the price is actually the lump sum that you're paying at once, and the cost is the ongoing fees and support and maintenance and everything else that's kind of happening throughout the period of this product. So this is a very good analogy here, essentially because having a product that is really poorly built isn't really something stable, isn't really something that grows over time, but it's in fact something that keeps you limited and basically you're paying more and more and more to just sustain the lifestyle of the specific product instead of investing in business growth. When I was reviewing my previous posts and notes, I found a link coming from another blog by Andy Adams, who used to be a Ruby developer. So he wrote a pretty interesting post about the 90%. You know, Pareto's principle, 80% of the work could be done in 20% of the time. The other 20% of the work will basically take the rest of the 80% of the time, which is a very interesting analogy. But however, having said that, it's really easy to deliver the first 90% of a product, and it's extremely hard to patch all of those annoying bug fixes and compatibility issues and regressions and performance problems and whatnot, because everything else is built. Your foundation is obviously not quite stable because you still miss those 10%, and you need to patch and hack around a lot of things just to get the rest of the 10% done. This is a difference between a cheap one and fairly expensive one, I would say. This is a difference between taking lots of shortcuts at first and then expecting that things work in the meantime in the prolonged period of time.